What's going on, guys? We're here with another podcast slash video slash whatever we call this thing. This whole show, if you guys don't know, started with something that we started for our local audience. It was called Buy, Sell with Clayton and Kyle.
Or Kyle and Clayton.
We never really made it up. But it kind of merged into this now where it goes on to our YouTube channels, and it's not just about the local market because you started as a mortgage lender. Mm-hmm. I was a realtor, or still am a realtor. We still do the same thing.
Yep.
But we were trying to capture like a local audience, so that's why we started the show. But now it's merged into more.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you have this YouTube following too. You know?
Do too.
Well, yeah, but you're quickly closing in.
I'm gonna make it a priority this year, I think.
Yeah.
Get the YouTube going.
The power of social media, the power of like having eyeballs
is awesome.
It's crazy.
It's also just cool to network. Quincy is a small town, so there's only X amount of people to network with, and the big players are much older than us, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I do. I don't have an easy in with them all the time.
Yeah.
But with my YouTube channel, I'm getting calls from guys across the country telling me what they do, asking me for advice on maybe starting this as a side hustle, what I do. And then, for example, that one guy that talked to us that one day, and you're like, I can't believe you just talked to that guy.
We talked to this guy for
an
like
hour.
Yeah, we were on your back porch for like an hour, right?
Yeah, I think we were just having a couple drinks, just talking about stuff, and then all of a sudden this dude calls, is a YouTube call, and I was getting them all the time for a while, especially when your videos were really they were popping off. So I was just like, okay, I might need to blur my phone number next time. But everybody I talked to was so cool. I think I talked to, remember I told you I talked to a professional retired football player?
No, I don't think you told me that.
I thought that was you I told. Yeah, I talked to a retired football player who is now an agent, but...
Like a realtor?
Yeah,
okay.
He's a realtor, but he wanted to do this on the side because he had a couple partners that were interested in it. So, it's just been crazy. And then that guy we talked to for an hour, he ended up
started a business, right?
He started a dumpster business and then immediately bought a rock quarry. And then from that rock quarry, he also...
it's like
he was so timid, and then all of a sudden, boom, he blew up.
That's what it takes, guys. Like, ultimately,
it's the jump.
The dumpster rental business, the rental property business, any business. Like, you just bought a freaking skid steer.
Yeah.
And it
doesn't matter.
I kind of called Clayton. I pretty much in my head called you crazy.
Yeah.
You're nuts, spending $50,000 or whatever on a skid steer.
Do you want to know what's really funny?
What?
Ask me how many times I've driven a skid steer.
Have you ever?
I have like once or twice, and it was like this luxury one. Just like
they're not that hard. You'll figure out the day, but
it's like a 0-turn lawnmower with a bucket.
Exactly. You can do a lot more with it.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's kind of what it takes, guys. Is like you just ultimately have to pull the trigger and
just figure it out.
But I feel like at some point in time you have to do like analysis of everything you're doing and figure out, okay, do I have too many things going on?
Oh yeah, I most definitely am there. I am there.
Ask your wife.
Yeah, dumpster rentals, mortgage lending,
rental
property. Now I'm getting a skid steer so I can do demo work, renting out large equipment.
You bought a headquarters that's needs work.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the headquarters out in Liberty. I need to. That's on the list. It got cold too fast.
Yeah, it's freezing right now.
Yeah, literally 0 degrees.
So I heard a guy once say like, okay, so like this YouTube presence that you're building, like the social media following, like you don't have to be an expert, but people are still going to come to you because you have like.
It's just the experience.
It's kind of like the same thing. If you start up like a meetup in your local area, like if you start inviting people to talk about real estate, even if you're not the smart one in the room. A lot of times
you're initiating it.
You're initiating it. You're going to have opportunities flow to you, because you're like, I don't know how to phrase it. Not the authority, but like you're the one that's putting it together. Yeah.
With a lot of my YouTube videos, you'll see most of the advice that I'm giving is my personal experience, and it's not even advice. I'm literally just going through my day, showing what I'm doing, and guys are just interested in it. The best advice you find in the comments.
Yeah,
is other guys that are just doing the same thing, or they're doing it a little differently. And then, how many times do you go on a forum, or when I'm working on my car, or I need to do a repair on something, first thing I do is I Google the specific item or problem, and then I go through. I don't look at the owner's manual. I don't look at the manufacturer's description. I don't look at anything. I go look at guys who've done it, and I see what happened.
I mean, the same thing. Like when I need to figure out how to do something, I'll go hop onto YouTube, not just watch the video, but look at the comments because, like, if I'm like reviewing a product I want to buy, immediately I go look at the comments. And you know what's super frustrating with YouTube is YouTube took off the dislike button.
Yeah.
So now when you watch like a review video, you have no idea what the ratio is.
Yeah.
Because usually that's the first thing I look at when I watch a review
video. Is
if
it's like actually helpful or real at all?
It might just be a terrible video, and if it's like extremely disliked, I don't even watch it. But now I can't do that anymore.
I think they did that so they could just get more views, and I hate to say it, I think they just want people to stay on the program longer, even if that means watching a video that's irrelevant.
Yeah, I guess. So as we mentioned earlier, guys, it's freezing cold right now. It's like what, 3-5 degrees right now.
My truck still says 0 since this morning.
Does your truck gel up? I mean, is that a problem?
I keep it plugged in.
Do you?
And then so for people who don't have diesel trucks, your diesel can gel. And you want like a pretty full tank.
It like thickens.
Yeah, it thickens up, and then it can't go through your injectors, and it's a mess. And then the only really way to fix it is you have to let it sit until it gets warm enough, which would be days from now, or you have to take it to a shop.
So let me ask you this. Can your diesel, like let's say you keep it in a garage and it's warm, so you get it going, but it's -10 out, will it gel while you're driving?
Not likely. I mean, I'd probably have to ask like a truck driver, but the thing is, I add additives. You can add additives. There's like emergency additives where it's already gelled and you pour it in and it's supposed to thaw it out really quick. And then there's the additive that you put in as a preventive. And I put that in probably every tank. Right now I put a little bit in. I don't go crazy with it because also at least most gas stations or manufacturers have gotten better about actually putting that in when the gases or the fuel's getting delivered to a cold area. It doesn't always happen, but I always add a little bit to it, and the problem is I actually have 2 tanks. So I have like 72 gallons. It'll go from one tank to the other.
72 gallons?
72 gallons. Multiply that by our $3.50 and tell me how much my gas costs.
Cow.
Yeah.
My tank I drive a Super Outback, so it's definitely nothing substantial, but it's like 20 gallons.
Yeah, my wife's diesel Jeep is like 19 gallons. My front tank's 22.
That's nuts.
My back is
So how long can you go without filling? While you're driving all the time.
I'm driving all the time. If I actually like take the time to fill up, I could go, and if I'm not hooked up to my trailer, I think I saw I could do like over 1,000 miles, no problem.
Really?
Yeah. But with my trailer even hooked up, I mean, easily, 500 some miles before I have to worry about it. Funny thing is, though, I don't usually take the time to fill my tank all the way up because it takes forever, and all the pumps, all the pumps cut off at like $125. And right now, and one of them in town, which is so annoying, it cuts off at 100. I'm like, I can't even fill up my front tank.
That's crazy.
For $100
that
practically.
Sucks.
So it's annoying.
So, like looking back, because you've been doing dumpsters now for like 2 years, 2.5.
I'd say last year was probably my first
full,
almost full, because I say it was my full, but I had some lulls only because I kept running out of inventory.
Okay.
Halfway through the year, bought more dumpsters, and then it was just like all the time.
Okay, so what has this winter been like? Like, has your expectations been met? Have they been
I
exceeded?
look back 2020 when I was super side hustle, probably only had a couple dumpsters going. I ran a whole 7 dumpsters. And don't forget, I also just moved back to town. Not a lot of people knew who I was.
Yeah, no advertising.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, people knew who I was because I lived here before, but they didn't know what my business was anymore. Moved back. This December, I look back on my calendar, because each one goes into my calendar. It was either 34 or 38 dumpsters. And December's supposed to be...
December alone?
And that's supposed to be my slow month.
Holy cow.
January has definitely slowed down. In January, I only did 7 dumpsters as well in
2020.
In 2020. In 2021...
Or sorry, no, it would be 2021.
Yes, 2021 January. In 2022 January, we're not even through, and the first week I did 7 dumpsters. So,
that's crazy.
And that, again, supposed to be my slowest month.
So do you attribute that mainly to good marketing? Is it word of mouth? Is it, I mean, I guess your reviews online?
Now. Yeah, reviews online help a lot when Google My Business isn't trying to take your stuff down.
Yeah.
Which I just found out from another YouTuber that there is a possible class action lawsuit. Don't quote me, I don't know if this is even real, but that there is a company that is going around the country reporting all these small dumpster companies so that then they can come to them and be like, we can get your Google reviews back.
It's the mafia.
Well, they basically are trying to make you pay to protect yourself against them, which is, in a funny way, it is the mafia, but it's like the online mafia. It's like, it's a company that's soliciting you to protect yourself from them. So I don't know how true it is. It could be local competition that does it. It could be Google's algorithm that is just getting so many people for whatever reason. I've gotten mine fixed, no problem. But
I've heard that they say that if you don't have an actual physical address, that
no, because in their terms it says you can use a service area, and some guys have been getting away with it forever. I put my address down for my shop, so that did help a little bit. Having to use your business name exactly as it's listed online. Once it gets eliminated the first time, then they go back and they ask you for all kinds of proof. And then if in your proof your business name doesn't match the name that you're like listing online, apparently that's one thing. But you can actually go on Fiverr and hire somebody for like $30 or $50
to do what?
To fix it.
Really?
Yeah, okay. And then they take care of it. A guy I talked to on YouTube, thanks again. I didn't use them, but I will if it happens again. $50, they had it back in 24 hours.
Wow. I wonder how they do that. I mean, do they have pull with Google? Do they have like someone
I have no idea that, or they're just digging through the terms a lot closer than guys like us are, and then they're just making the changes.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I'll tell you, like, doing any changes on like big tech is terrible. Like Facebook.
Miserable.
Yeah, I tried to.
YouTube and Google, I mean, owned by the same people now, but
YouTube and Google owns YouTube.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. And then like Facebook, Instagram, they own the same thing, and TikTok's off on its own, I think, right?
I think so. I thought Microsoft was trying to buy it, or I don't know if they ever did.
I'm sure. Well, yeah, there's something to do with like they didn't want a Chinese company to own.
Politics.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Who knows? They got around it somehow. I remember that's back when Trump was in office, and I remember Trump threatening to shut it down.
Yes.
And they're able to find a way around it.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah. So would like this time of year though with the dumpster rental business, do you feel like is it a lot more work because it's just like it's freezing cold? Do you have problems with the equipment other than like
oh my gosh, yeah.
Like your batteries die?
Batteries die a lot quicker. Like today, I took it out of my pocket. This is my winch remote, which worked fine. Thing is, I have to take them inside at night because otherwise everything like freezes up inside of them and the condensation, and all of a sudden I'll be pushing this, and then I have to use like the remote, and then I'm like attached to the truck, and it doesn't want to slide on ice. It doesn't want to slide on uneven ice or snow. So I can't like pull the dumpster away from it. It's really frustrating. And then the hydraulics, super slow. You also got to think shrinkage. My metal cable, I'm really careful with right now because
metal cable shrinks.
Well, I mean, metal itself expands in heat and shrinks in cold.
Huh, okay.
So if you think that, at least in my mind, somebody can tell me if I'm wrong, but this would be the most delicate time for my cable and almost anything on my truck. But the cable itself, the last thing I want to do is been pulling in a load when it's like stuck in the like frozen to the ground or something, and it's heavy, and then all of a sudden my cable snaps.
I never really thought of that.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can hear when you're doing something for so long. I can hear my hydraulics struggle. I can hear my cable. Like you can actually the tension. You can hear it, and then you can hear it in the winch when you're like, okay, I need to stop.
That's interesting.
This is too much. I need to put it in neutral and let the truck run under it. There's a lot of things that you just learn, and I see guys who just they hire people. They immediately are like, I need to hire somebody to do this with me, and then they just let them do it. They show them one or two times, but there's so many things you just learn
how to
from
be
experience.
Like careful on your equipment and not be rough with it.
Because I hear guys all the time. Yeah, some of them use synthetic cables, which are like rope and fibers and all this stuff, and they work well. But again, it's like there's certain noises and warning signs where like I shouldn't be doing this, and some of these guys are just pushing that button and then eventually
Do you have a backup winch or cable, like if yours went down, or would you have to go order one?
Ideally, in an ideal world, I would. I have another trailer.
Trailer with the winch on it.
Yeah.
The one with for the storage
the
containers.
flatbeds. Yeah. I mean, it's not nearly as strong as the one I have, but I could make it work if I needed to. I really need to just order another cable, because the winches actually have like a lifetime warranty, which is awesome. At least the one I have. The Warrior winches are insane.
That's crazy, because like you put that thing through
you put it through the ringer. Yeah. And there's other guys who I'm going to do a tool review on like things like even my truck here soon, but like one of the things, snatch blocks are huge.
What is a snatch block?
It uses like a pulley system instead.
Oh, I've seen that.
It's awesome.
Time out real quick. So Heavy D Sparks, shout out to you if you're watching. He's not watching. But Heavy D Sparks does huge equipment rescues.
Oh, so I know what you're talking about.
He pulls out like bulldozers that have been buried for half a century. And like half a century, that's a little long.
No, I've seen some of the pictures of some of the stuff he pulls out. And
those snatch blocks,
you couldn't do it without a snatch block, that kind of stuff.
I mean, and he's pulling out like with the largest equipment you can, like these massive wreckers.
And it's still struggling.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that'd be a cool job to have, I will admit.
That's so like sweet. That probably would have came in handy when we had the dumpster stuff the other day, because like can't you like kind of pull from different points?
You can pull from different points. I mean, some guys will just run it. It's interesting that you can just literally run it back to your trailer, and the simple physics of the pulley itself gives you that much more. There are guys who will have an 18,000-pound winch, and then they'll use a snatch blocks. And again, my math's not going to be perfect here, but it'll do the equivalent of pulling 30,000 times, or 30,000 pounds versus 18,000 pounds, which is just mind-boggling to me.
Like,
it's just physics.
You have the same amount of power coming from the winch. Like, how is it creating more power?
Well, I mean, it's just like I used to watch my grandpa pull a motor out of a Mustang, and old-fashioned. It was just a pulley, one rope, or it was some chain down to the motor, and you never could have lifted it up. I mean, even though you could get your hands on it, you could never have lifted that up. You couldn't have, pulled it up with a rope that way. But you run it through a pulley, and you start. I mean, it's just basic physics.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. Which I'm gonna make myself sound like an idiot if I talk about it.
No, it's beyond me, but I just know it works.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
So what else is new in the life of Clayton Roll?
Oh man, cold calling. I finally started doing that. My brother made a joke about this, and then we were talking to my uncle. He's like, "Hey, yeah, I wanted to come visit you guys, but it's freezing cold there." Like, I truly believe in the Midwest, for you guys who live in like the cold all the time, I think you're probably better at it. And for you guys who live in really warm climate, but I really truly believe in like seasonal depression.
Oh yeah,
it's like such a real thing, and we go through so many seasons here, and they happen so fast and defined. So but they also are. One day it's like 60 degrees, and then you're right back to it being below freezing again, and it's abusive on your body. And I'm trying really hard right now to not, like, my dad personally, horrible at it. Like
horrible at what? Like
seasonal depression.
Okay.
Like, I hate to say it, like, it's hard to sometimes be around my dad when he's like in that mood, and everybody says that we joke with him all the time that like, you're so grumpy this time of year. And it's just all there is to it. And when you're grumpy, and we'll call it seasonal depression, whether it's that bad for somebody or not, you're not as effective, and you're not as productive at all.
Yeah, isn't it crazy how?
And this is supposed to be like separation season for like this is the new year. You're supposed to be like pushing hard to meet goals or set goals. And right now I was struggling at first, but now I'm like, okay, I gotta get over this.
It goes in waves though. Like I think that we just have to learn how to kind of ride the emotional wave, because like in real estate and business, like you have highs and lows.
Yep.
But same thing. I mean, I agree. Like when you get in that mood of like when you feel like there's this literal cloud, like dark cloud hanging over you,
and our town, because it's always
and
like
that,
yeah,
because it's just gray. Like it makes some tasks just seem daunting that aren't that big a deal.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's so frustrating. But well, I mean, I'm trying to think bigger picture on stuff. I'm actually, like, my biggest thing right now is thinking bigger. So when I'm thinking about my business, I'm thinking about what I'm going to use a skid steer for, renting, demo work, all this kind of stuff, and then maybe hiring somebody to run that while I do my own thing with the dumpsters and stuff. because it is hard if you're trying to be really legal to hire somebody with a CDL to go run dumpsters properly and not break my stuff.
So can you talk real quick about the skid steer? We didn't even really talk, on my
channel.
So
I got a skid steer, and
you ordered one
Yeah, I ordered one. I love my cousin. He's hilarious. I'm telling him about this skid steer, and I'm like, if I want to rent it out though, this one, it's got too much tech in it. It was a New Holland, and you can have your opinions in the comments about
New Holland. What color is that? The green?
No, it's yellow. It's not a lot of people know about New Holland. But I mean, they're a good brand.
Okay. Were they blue at one point?
They have some blue stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, they have some, but now they have a lot of yellow stuff. So, anyway, everybody's got their preference. It's no different than the car industry on what you prefer. New Holland was traded between like Ford, Fiat, all kinds of stuff at one point. So, they have this. It was like a primo, just nice skid, and I was to the point. I was like, I want one. I'm just gonna buy it. And just like my dumpsters, you can buy a skid steer for 0% down, 0% interest for, X amount of months. And that's what I did with my credit card when I started my dumpster business. So I'm doing it again.
Shout out to Dave Ramsey. Yeah. I'm sure he would approve.
Whatever. So it worked once. I'm going to try it again. So I'm doing 0% down, 0% interest on a skid. And I've already worked with my insurance company on the insurance aspect of it, of if I rent it out to somebody, what that looks like.
Yeah.
And there's a cost, and people are going to beat it up, but that's what doing business is. I rent out apartments where I literally will put 10, 15, 20 grand into a new build or new rehab, and then the next person destroys it.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. So it's, but if I can rent something out for $500 a day or $400 a day and $1,200 a week, to me, it's just another branch of my business.
See, this is a part that props to you, because I have this limiting belief. Same with your dumpster rental business. I was like, why would you start a dumpster rental business when there's these massive players?
Mm-hmm.
There's Area, there's Republic, and then you talk about this skid steer 3-4 months ago. I'm like, dude, you're crazy. There's 4 other rental companies.
And then what did I say?
Rentals.
What did I say?
Well, you just talked about being the little guy.
Yeah,
and how
it's just no different than why did I start a dumpster business?
Yeah.
It's because there's still a market for it. And I'm not going to necessarily undercut them, but I am going to price myself differently. And then outside of that, the skid itself is going to come in really handy for other things.
I can use it all the time.
I could do it for gravel. People already ask me for rock delivery all the time. I'd be like, okay, I can do that, and I can spread it for you. Or
you can dig out your dumpsters when they get stuck.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Will this thing it'll have tracks?
I'm on tracks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a New Holland.
No, this is a Kubota. Oh, so back to the New Holland. So the New Holland was this primo, had all the tech. It was like sitting in a Tesla. I mean, this was the best of the best one. And I was like, this doesn't really make sense to buy. And
how much was it?
It was like $70,000. And I was like, and that's why I was kind of like, this is almost too much to rent out to somebody else. People will leave the cab open. Here, you want a cab with all the elements and everything. They'll leave the cab open in a field, and mice will get in there and chew up wires and anything. So I wanted something more basic, and I was talking to my cousin about this. I was like, I'm about to just go buy this New Holland for myself, because I can use it for the demo work and make my money up there, because I am going to start bidding that kind of stuff. And he goes, I'll call you right back. And he's a farmer.
Is this John?
Yeah, this is John. So he calls me back. He's like, you there? And I'm like, yeah, I'm here. And he goes, all right, boys. And he's got 3 different salesmen from 3 different places on the phone at the same time.
No way.
Yes, he does. And he's asking them what inventory they have, what brands they have, and
he's
what
making them compete.
He's literally making them compete against each other. And he's so funny, and he's just so witty about it. He's like, I think we can do that for 55? No, I think we can do that for 50, and you throw in another bucket. He's just ringing them. I mean, he's...
Well, shoot,
he's
you
awesome.
Need to make some videos again about his whole operation sometime.
Oh, yeah.
We don't need to go into it now, but anyway, he's an interesting dude.
He is an interesting guy. But he did, and he got some guy to get me a great price. We then got on Tractor Trader and looked to see what they were selling for, and I mean, we're not buying this very far off of what they're paying for it, and that was the kind of the way I was started.
Is it new?
Yes,
brand new. So 0% for how long?
I think it's 48 months. If I would have bought it last year, it'd have been 60. It's 48 months, or it's 0.9%.
0.9% interest?
0.9% interest for 60 months now this year.
Gee whiz.
I know.
I mean,
and
it is
0% down.
If you can rent it out enough to make those payments start paying it down. I mean,
yeah, you're looking at like, let's say the payment's $800 a month. 1 day rental is over $400 around here.
Okay, I've never looked into those prices. So
yeah, and then a week's like $1,200 for this type of model and everything. A month is like over $3,000. Wow. So you can make your money back really quick on it. And then when I'm not renting it out, like I said, I'm gonna be literally knocking on people's doors like, "Hey, your garage is falling apart. I'll take it down.
Yeah, you'll demo
and
it.
I'll haul it away."
Shoot, you need to buy a mini excavator on top of this with the teeth.
Yep.
Because like in the mobile home park space, I have some mobile.
Well, I'm getting grapple bucket also for.
Dude, this is perfect. You got the dumpsters.
That's exactly why I'm doing this. Yeah.
You could totally market that in the mobile home park space.
Yeah, demoing those things.
Literally go on the Facebook forums on mobile home park investing and just comment like, "Hey, I'll travel around and I'll come pick up. I've got the dumpsters. I've got the equipment. That'd be sweet."
I mean, there's once you have the equipment, you have the resources, you just start making up new niches.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's honestly what I'm trying to do because you're asking me about like January, February. If I didn't have my mortgage lending, it would be slow. And although at the end of the year it's so crazy, I'm making up that difference no matter what. It is kind of hard. Like that seasonal depression kicks in where I'm like, I'm not doing what I need to do. So right now I'm cold calling apartment buildings because at the end of the day, that's where I'm going to put most of my money anyway. And I want to work with apartment lenders or apartment people off market because nobody's selling their stuff. There's still no inventory.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to fill my time.
In our market, I think like 2 days ago I looked, I think there's 12 multifamily listings in our whole area. And they're absolute garbage.
Yeah, there might be like one that I would even consider, and it's still just like, unless I was living in it, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I was just like, and it sucks. So I've been cold calling people, and that's hard as it is just to do. Especially people you don't know. And then sometimes, honestly, it's even harder to call people you do know because it's just like...
because you feel like you're a pest.
Hey, not looking for a favor here, but do you want to sell me your place? Yeah. And most of them don't. So it's just weird.
I'd prefer call someone I don't know.
I think I do too. Because the ones I did, they were like, hey, reach back out in like a couple months or 6 months. I've thought about it before. Right now, no, too busy, but I'd consider it. And those are the ones I'm like, put it on my calendar. I'm following up with them in X
So
months.
let's talk a little bit about real estate. So right now it's a 6 unit.
Yes.
Right? 6 unit. You got your commercial building.
Yep.
What would be like the perfect, like what are you looking for next? What would you like to buy?
Like Dream World?
Yeah, sure.
Dream World?
Make it happen.
I was really thinking about how awesome it would be. We've got Broadway, we've got Main, and there's some just kind of hidden streets. I've seen 1 or 2 places where you've got the commercial space up front, and then they have multiple units above them, and then they have a huge parking lot. I have literally thought about making some really big moves where I'm like, okay, I just need to make this a full-fledged business that isn't just like a service area. It has an address, locally in Quincy where I'm not running back and forth to my shop.
Yep.
And I rent out the upstairs units to people. The downstairs units is my office, and I might even rent out office space to somebody else. And then I have a place to put my equipment, which is either a parking lot or a shop.
Would it be like visible so people could see your business?
Ideally, but it doesn't need to be Broadway. And Broadway's our main like highway road here, which is also everything there you can expect to be.
Pretty expensive.
Very expensive.
Yeah. That would be sweet. So I've been thinking...
There's like 2 or 3 places too on Broadway that would be awesome. And you've even mentioned a couple of them, but it's one of those things that it'll miss one thing. It'll miss one thing on the checkbox where it's like the lot's not conducive for like a gooseneck or to put my dumpster somewhere.
Not enough parking for the tenants.
Yeah. There's always just like the one thing's missing, or the person doesn't want to sell. Yeah. Or if they do, they're asking.
So this kind of drives me nuts a little bit about our local market is like our main strip, like a quarter of it is still residential housing.
Yes.
And a lot of investors have bought the houses up with the intent to tear them down and put commercial up, but the city has been
they've been really hard on them.
Hard, yeah.
Have you seen the one over by Family Video? Do you know the story behind that? Again, third person, but that's exactly what they did. the houses were falling apart. He tore them down with the intent of turning them into a commercial space. The city came in and said, no, those are residential lots. You cannot do it. And I'm like, right next to it is a family video. How can you not do that?
Right on right on Broadway.
Yeah, and ever since then, that lot has sat empty, and I think there's a for sale sign in there, and nobody's going to buy it because nobody wants to buy their house. Nobody wants to put their house there.
You would never put a house. It's like the busiest road in all of.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to buy a house there that's been there for a long time, but it's another thing to put a new build there. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it was going to be like a high-rise apartment building or something, but.
All right, so it's 2022, new year. New year, new you.
Yeah.
No.
The gym's been packed.
So, yeah, that's true. It has been. Well, mine hasn't been. I have a home gym. But talk about, like, I'm curious, like, you know, you've always got all these ideas in your head.
Oh, ADD, man.
I don't want to go out too far, but like 5 years from now, like, perfect case scenario, what does your life look like with the dumpsters, with the apartments? Do you think you'll stop one of them? Do you think you'll start something new? I mean, that's a big question, but...
It is a big question. There's a lot of ifs in there. I mean, I'm married right now, no kids. That
will change a lot.
That's short-lived right now. Everybody's knocking on my door. Where are my grandkids? Where are my nieces and nephews? So it's like, and my wife. My wife and I, we're kind of that point in our life.
Yeah.
We're steady. We've got everything we need. It's conducive to have kids at this point. Granted, I'm sitting here going,
Clayton,
I know.
With a kid?
Isn't it crazy? Feel bad for him.
I knew this kid in high school. Like, you having kids.
Lucky to be alive. Lucky I made it this far. So, yeah, it's a little hard to imagine because honestly, if somebody came to me and said, I'm going to give you X amount of dollars, I had actually somebody in town tell me that they are preparing to try to buy me out.
Really?
Yeah, and I was kind of like, okay, but I don't know if they're willing to pay what I think my business is worth yet, and I'd really have to show that to them because I'm not giving it away.
Yeah.
And I've got so many other things I want to do with my business that it's like, why would I sell myself short? If I can do it for a couple more years and build it up even bigger, sell it as one big package deal, equipment, location, everything.
Yep. So
5 years from now, it's kind of weird. I quit my 9 to 5, which was really like 6 to 9, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. the way I was working before. And I told myself, I don't want to work like this anymore. I'm probably working just as hard, but I at least enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah, which means so much more.
It means a lot more. I was miserable before. So building my own little baby into something, I could do it for a while, but I might give up parts of it. I might give up the dumpster business and then only worry about real estate. Ideal situation, I'm living only off real estate. But at the same time, that's my retirement. Everybody talks about that $1 million a year, or that $1 million when you retire, which I honestly think you better be prepared to have double that at least.
Like that number.
We can go that it's not practical anymore. I know so many people in 2008 that they talk to me and they're like, I lost a fourth or I lost half or whatever the number is, and they're like, I'm just now recovering to where I was.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, they're only 1 or 2 years away from retirement, so they're not at their goal. And so I don't want to be like that. I do not want to rely on the government. I do not want to rely on 401k, Roth IRA. Those are great things to have. Social Security, we'll be lucky if we get that once we get to that point. So my idea is that the real estate, if I buy as much as I can right now at 28 years old, by 30, if I buy as much as I can, 20-year loans on those, if I hold those for 20 years, ideally, hopefully each one of those properties, let's say each one I buy now at arbitrary number, $250,000. Mm-hmm. I raise rents, inflation continues, the quality, everything. The market still is crazy it is, or goes back to being crazy after a lull. Each one of those are worth, almost $500,000 after 20 years. If I have 2 of those, there's my retirement right there. And I can either borrow against that, I can sell them. I have so many options. But if I have 4, 5, 6 of them,
yeah, you'll be doing
I'm even better. And in the meantime, if I'm just living off part of that cash flow, I don't know, man. I don't have a good answer. I don't think I'll ever be able to completely slow down.
Right.
It's just not my DNA.
Yeah, and it's hard to plan out your vision.
Can you imagine yourself in 5 years right now at all?
I mean, I have my idea of what I would like it to look like.
But what do you think it really will? So many things. I mean, I'm going to throw kids at you. You know kids are coming within 5 years.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, life can change so fast. I mean, shoot, I could get hit by a bus. I have no idea. Yeah. But, I mean, I have an idea of what I want my life to look like, even, like, thinking about kids and all that. Mm-hmm. But, like, there's just so many opportunities that come up. Like, we might all of a sudden feel like we need to move to a different country. I mean, or who knows? That's kind of far out there.
I could see it happen still.
Well, I mean, like, there's opportunities out there.
I think being open and thinking as big as possible is the key. Yeah. I'm not looking at single family homes anymore. If it's like less than 4 units, I really don't care unless I'm buying it for a personal reason.
It's a great way to get started.
But I know you're thinking even bigger, but I'm trying not to put myself in a box where I'm just like, I've got $20,000 or $40,000 burning a hole in my pocket. I need to spend it right now on something. Because I think that's what happens to people.
I think that, like, what I've learned with buying real estate, because I got started in real estate in high school. Like, senior year, I bought these little houses, and all I cared about was buying a property that cash flowed. Mm-hmm. But, like, my mindset has really changed since then. Like,
thinking more about the equity position?
I should not have focused on buying these, like, passive income machines at such a young age. I should have been focused on rolling it, like, building more and more cash. Mm-hmm. And so, like, that's what I found with these bigger deals. It's like, when you buy a bigger deal and you can force equity into it by improving the performance of the property,
or just buying it at a better price,
like, you make so much more, so much faster. So let's say I buy a $500,000 property and I force appreciation and I maybe get $300K more of value in there, and I sell it. That $300K, I could go buy 4 houses and pay them off if I wanted to. I want to do that, but my point is, if you
have so many more opportunities.
If you start with single families and all you're focusing on is like buying one at a time and letting it cash flow $200 a month and try to build that up, it takes forever.
It's a lot harder.
And another thing I've learned is there's so much more money out there willing to partner with you. So a buddy of mine just texted me this morning, is like, dude, like I found this storage unit, but it's way out of our price range, because I told him I'd like to partner with him, and he's like, he says it's way outside of our price range. And I'm like, dude, there's nothing outside of our price range. Like, if the numbers make sense, we can find the money for it.
Yeah, it's like all it is at that point. It blows my mind how many people get things under contract and then they go, I need to go find the money. Like, that is mind-boggling.
Like, you're saying that you should find the money first?
I mean, ideally, that's how I would do it. But I mean, I've seen guys literally get stuff under contract and go, well, now I need to go find the money. Yeah, and then I'm just like, that's living on the edge.
It is, but like,
but they do it.
If they make it happen, props
because
to them.
That's where networking comes in. And I'm still like on the fence on the whole partnering and using other people's money. That's still going to be always hard for me for a while. Also, there might be this selfish part of me that's like, I want to build my own thing. Stay away from me. But if you trust the people, or if it's family and you're helping each other out, I think that's great. Or if it's good friends. But some guys, they're just like, you got money? I got money. Let's make a deal happen.
Yeah, you got to be so careful. And like, I've heard it.
Because you need to make sure they're putting in as much effort as you are. If, say you put in $500,000, they put in $500,000, but then you do all the legwork, but you guys are reaping the same benefits. Like,
it ultimately comes down to like, what do you want out of like your career, and you're like, do you want to go way further? Because if you do, you probably need a partner.
Oh yeah.
Or do you want to stay a little bit smaller but have more control, be able to sleep better at night because you don't have a bunch of investors' money? I tend to be more of like, I want to do things myself. I don't want to have 1,000 different investors, but like, I am definitely to the point where it makes sense to bring in some.
I mean, empires and wealth is built on a tribe. There's not one person that just like,
it's definitely team sport.
Yeah, it made it happen.
Which
you can become independently wealthy without needing a lot of people, but you still need to have the connections to help you get there. But if you really just want to build like wealth, I'm sitting on the beach sipping daiquiris every week because I can. You're never going to do that on your own unless that was handed down to you.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough. I think it's fun to think about building like a successful career, not just for yourself, but for your team.
Yeah.
So like, my whole thing is like time freedom. Like like 2 weeks ago, we took off to Arizona for a week. I just went down to St. Louis for 2 days.
If you keep sending me Snapchats of you in Arizona, and I'm in town where I'm battling, 6 inches of snow. I might just stop talking to you.
Shorts, it's
sunny.
I
was so frustrated. You were sending those to me. That seasonal depression just kept getting forced out my throat.
Bad.
It was
bad.
Awful.
But my point is to be able to do that, not just for yourself, but also to create a team and be like, hey guys, let's build this business, let's build this company. I want each one of you to have unlimited vacation time. As long as you get done what you need to get done.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want. I don't care.
I worked for a guy like that. You got to be careful with that. Because remember what I told you about that? Everybody's like, how much vacation have you taken? How much have I taken? And then nobody would take vacation because they didn't want to be less than. I get what you're saying. Yeah. There's ways to manage it. This, though, it was kind of like, oh, you're taking a day off? It's like, well, you said we could.
It's just in my head. I haven't thought about how it
No. It does work for some companies, but some companies really abuse that. They're like, well, nobody will take the day off if nobody else is taking the day off. But you just said something there that reminded me, building the team. So one thing I want to be clear to people is when you're thinking about something, you want to do something, who are the first people, not maybe in our circles all the time, but who are the first people to question you or tell you that it's not a good idea because X, Y, Z?
I mean, I would say immediately it's your family.
Your family and close friends are the ones that they're trying to shield you. They're trying to keep you from doing it.
Yeah.
They're just stay in your lane. You don't need to get any bigger.
You how you are.
Yeah, you don't need to get any bigger. You don't need to try this. Here's the thing. Sometimes it's okay to just think about it. It's not selfish to think about it and not say anything. Maybe say something one time. And then after that, go to people who are doing it.
Yeah.
Because one thing, every time I bring up equipment rental, when I brought up dumpster rentals, coming from the kid who only drove sports cars and, didn't care about anything other than, how fast my car was, as a young kid, jumping into a big diesel truck, getting a trailer, and then starting a dumpster business, everybody's like, something's wrong with it.
That's not you.
Something's but something clicked in my head, and I started running the numbers, and it made sense. So if it makes sense to you, don't be afraid to ghost to somebody and be like, so with the equipment rental, everybody's like, they're going to beat the crap out of your equipment. You're just going to be upside down on your stuff. It's not going to be worth it. You need $1 million loan just to get that to happen. You can't start small and expect to be competitive. They will give you every answer. They'll give you every negative possibility that can happen. You go to somebody who does it, and you go, how do you do it?
Super encouraging.
Super encouraging. They'll help you. They'll give you the tips just to even just get started. And each one of them that I've talked to, yeah, man, I started with one piece of equipment. Yeah, I started with 2. And now I have 50, 60. And one of them specifically talked about team building. And he's like, back to the Gary V, you can't expect people to run your business like you run your business because it's not their business.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to work as hard as you do. But one thing you can do is encourage people by, and he said it was really cool. He's like, I only pay my employees this is rural Missouri, so I think it was $16 an hour, and I'm thinking to myself here, I'm like, well, McDonald's is now paying 15, but there, that was okay.
Yeah.
Where they're living, cost of living and everything. For all of you people out in California with $500,000 houses, you can build or buy that same house for $120,000 here. So it's
easy.
It's so different. But anyway, he said, I give my employees 1% of my gross.
That's interesting.
And I was just like, what do you mean? He's like, they get their regular paycheck, and if they work overtime, they get their overtime. But he's like, at the end of the day, every month they get an additional added bonus onto, and I was like, every month, not year. He's like, yeah, no. I give 1% to every employee that works X amount of hours, and they get 1% of the gross revenue.
Huh.
And I'm like, I see. He's like, so then I can count on my employees to want to make sales, to want to improve the business and give customer service, because at the end of the day, that's an extra bump in their pay.
Well, that's the problem right now with employers trying to find employees is no one feels invested in the companies. And
and that's why people are leaving them, fleeing them.
If you can build a team where they're incentivized to build your company and be a part of it by encouraging them hey, the more
rather than putting all of it in your pocket and then pushing your employees to work harder.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Well, we need to wrap this thing up because
this is a long video.
It's been a while. Yeah. If anyone's actually watching this, comment something so we know you actually watched this. Here, comment. What am I holding up here at this point in time? It's a rock. Actually. I want to see if anyone will actually comment
Get this far.
And watch this far. I doubt anyone will. But anyways, we're going to go finish a video for you, for your channel. Go check out Clayton's channel. You've definitely built like a following very quickly. I mentioned this before, like the dumpster rental business, the blue collar like workers. It seems like you guys all,
dude, it's a clan.
It's a clan. Like you guys all help each other out. Like I've seen you post different topics on your channels, and then people will be commenting like, "Hey man, like try this on your equipment." And
it's so much less. You go through a lot of those entertainment videos and stuff on YouTube, and it's just like bashing the person, and you should have done it this way, that way. No, I love it. I love going through my comments and people are like, no, here's how you can
your
help
footage
yourself.
Is very like real, very like, day in the life type stuff where like even my channel, it's very broad. It's very like, I'm talking about real estate. It's such a huge, massive niche that
everybody's in.
Yeah.
Whether they're good at it or not. A lot of people, like I said, getting advice from people that haven't done it.
Yeah.
So I get that all the time from people. I know you do too.
Oh, yeah.
With like your real estate. Oh yeah, man, you should do it this way. And you're sitting there just going like.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I guess you got to drown the noise out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who, like even local, who like rat on you for your business you started. And there's people who comment on what I'm doing, and just got to stay in your own lane.
You got to have thick skin.
Thick skin, stay in your own lane, stay focused.
Yep.
Keep pushing.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're building it for yourself, not for them.
Yeah. All right, guys. Go check Clayton's channel out. Anything else?
No. Have a good one, everyone.
Yep. See ya.